Hey everybody, it's Soren from RestoMods again. I am revisiting the Dodge Route van RestoMod we built last year. It's been converted to a food truck and ready to find use as a food truck. We did a little bit more work on it here this spring after the conversion was done. I'm going to walk through a little bit of that and kind of walk through the conversion, the food truck conversion as well. This should be pretty interesting. One of the things that we did was ride some air ride helper springs in the back. You can see the truck still sits a little bit lower in the back than it does in the front, and that's a result of the chassis that was used underneath here being a flatbed. So when we lowered the truck, we were very limited in how we could do that on the front. So we put some helper springs, air helper springs in the back. That's allowed us to adjust the height both left and right separately, as well as ensure that we get a little bit more height out of the back and lift that thing up off the ground so it sits a little bit flatter than it did originally. It still sits a little bit low in the back. The chassis was lowered, and so down here the lowest point is the suspension and the fuel tank actually, but everything is up high enough now that everything should be nice and functional. So on the outside here you can see that there's a service window installed for serving out of, and then as we come inside, the floor that was in here when we got the truck is been retained. They put an clear epoxy coating over there, non-slip coating, so it's got the really vintage look in there while still being safe and functional for use as a food truck. So in the back here, you'll see that this is all set up now as a food truck. So as far as food trucks goes, this is nice and spacious. It's got all the room that a modern step van would, while having a really cool vintage look. So we've got a sink and then a hand wash sink right next to it, the serving table, and a cooler, I believe, in the back there. Over on the side here, we've got a fryer, a nice grill, a couple of burners, and a big refrigerator, and then an enormous fume hood over top of everything. One of the things that apparently is a little bit challenging on some of the older trucks is to get a fume hood in there because of the height. Most of the older vans are relatively low, but by comparison, because of the box van back on this route van, it's quite spacious in the back here. So here you can see the service window. Obviously the aluminum window on the outside, or the window cover is on the outside, is closed. But you got lots of space in here. In the back, the doors are, if you remember, divided. So there's actually 4 separate doors, 2 top and 2 bottom. The bottom right, as we're looking at it here, is blocked off. The propane tanks sit on the bumper there, but the other one's all open. So whether you're passing material in and out of the truck in the lower door, or opening the upper doors for ventilation, there's a lot of options there in being able to have that thing open. And then obviously we've got the pretty good sized doors up front here. So this truck is essentially all finished up and basically ready to be used as a food truck. So we're hoping that this summer here we will be able to see this thing out in use. We hope you enjoyed taking a look at the Dodge Route van RestoMod in its almost completed state. Chameleon Concessions, who owns the truck, is looking for a customer for it, and it'll likely see a few changes in the kitchen area and obviously some branding on the outside once a final customer is found. But for the most part, this thing is ready to go today as a food truck, and we're really excited to be able to see this thing done and hopefully out into the wild. So thanks everybody.